All right, here we go. Marcellus Wiley, welcome back.
My dog. What's up, brother? It's been a second.
Oh, yeah, man. Everything's good. Everything's good on mine. And first of all, before we go any further, I want to congratulate you on your new pandemic baby. Your words, not mine.
You're right.
Olivia.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah, she was born in some crazy times right now, man. So she got to be tough. But it's been good. It's a silver lining. I do enjoy the blessing of being at home with her and the wife, and the fact I could do my job in the backyard and just set up a camera and be there for the family even more intensely than I could before all this craziness. So it's a little bit of a blessing.
Was there any sort of stress being in a hospital during this time? Because hospitals are kind of considered like the epicenter of the coronavirus. I remember, we had like a small little situation. We were going to go to the doctors and we're like, well, wait a minute, if we don't really have to go, let's not go because, we don't want to be around people who are sick right now. So was there a little bit of stress over that?
Yeah, definitely. I would say my wife, because she articulates it and feels it in terms of the stress and, her just being in the medical world and as being an anesthesiologist, she knew exactly what this was going to look like in terms of the stress on the medical resources, the hospitals, the nurses, et cetera. So we actually did like a test run a couple of days before we went to the actual hospital for the day of birth. So she was really stressed. I don't know how I deal with stress, man, because we had conversations. She gets upset at me. She always says, you're so optimistic, so lighthearted, even in times of adversity. And it's just weird being real with you, Vlad, that because I've had my harshest moments in the past that still feel like they happened yesterday, when something new comes, I immediately contrast it against that. And nothing's going to beat that. So therefore, I kind of move on and just deal with the new reality.
Well, I mean, speaking of new reality, the coronavirus has really decimated sports altogether. Everywhere. Like, remember that one moment when the NBA game was shut down and then it was announced the whole NBA season was shut down, and then one player was sick, and then another player on his team got sick, and then somebody that was guarding him got sick. And these were all like good known players, but then Kevin Durant got sick.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And it was like, oh, like here's a player who's actually bigger than the sport.
Right.
When that started happening, how did you feel, as a former athlete yourself?
Yeah, it was crazy, man, just to watch the dominoes fall. And I give the NBA a lot of respect because as soon as one player tested positive, they were like, we're done. And that was Rudy Gobert. And once that went down, and he's a star in himself, but they didn't need the Kevin Durant to make the ultimate decision. They were like, we have it. It's here. And we don't know how to contain it. So I know that I had picked my son up that day, and he didn't have school the next 2 days, just already programmed in the schedule, getting ready for their spring break and everything. And then we were watching it, and you're like, oh, so they stopped one NBA game. Oh, no, they stopped two. No, they stopped tomorrow's games. No, they're stopping through the weekend. Next thing you know, it just started to snowball. And as a former athlete, your greatest ability, I think, is to compartmentalize. People don't understand that when you have to go to the arena or go to the field, you may have gotten into an argument with your woman that morning. There was a hell of a traffic on the freeway that day. Moms is still calling for ticket requests, and it's 2 hours before kickoff. Like, you're used to dealing with a lot of balls in the air. I don't think anybody's ever been used to dealing with something like this. And that's why this sets itself apart. But we have a trained ability to adjust on the fly. And I try to activate that to keep my family calm and keep them in the real.
Yeah. I mean, people who are the heads of their family, are the main breadwinners, who run companies, who have employees, like, it's really rough because you're going through it yourself, but you have to really show a strong image to everyone else because they're all looking at you to get them out of this. Like, I counted the other day, I have a dozen people that I support from my company that I own. 12 people essentially have 100% of their income come from me. They have a roof over their head because of me. They have health insurance because of me. They have food on the table because of me. We're lucky enough that our business is still stable. We haven't laid anybody off. We haven't cut anybody's wages. Everyone still has their full health benefits. But it's really a lot of pressure from day to day.
It is, man. If you think about it, it's so difficult to keep that face, that complexion, at the same time be responsible when the information is so fluid and you don't know what being responsible is. Because say you're someone saying, no, this hasn't really hit LA or wherever you live in California, so therefore I'm going to do something different. And you don't go with the flow, whatever the flow is, because it's hard to define it. And then something occurs on your watch under your umbrella, like you said, of a dozen employees. And I have employees as well. I have people that you take care of, whether it's all the way from the housekeeper to nanny, people who work for my entertainment company. It's like, ow. And my first instinct was to make sure that my family was okay and make sure that I felt like my employees or people I work with were a part of my extended family. So it's weird. Like with the nanny, we're still allowing her to come. And with the housekeepers, because we don't deem that as essential as a nanny, we were like, no, I'm going to pay you all this time, but you don't have to show up, big dog, because I get you losing this income is going to devastate you. But I also don't want to be at that risk for people I don't know all coming in. You just start to get a little out of control in terms of predictability. So I get exactly where you're coming from, how you feel conflicted, what to do. I don't know. And you just move forward.